Friends, I invite you back to the space between us. Well, good morning again. And thank you all for the very, very warm and kind welcome of me and my family, our sweet little Josephine, who I think is now in the nursery, but glad that she could bring some sweet giggles from us this morning. I'm grateful to be among you, to be here to worship with you, to learn from you, and to hopefully offer a heaping scoop of love and care as we talk about flourishing. Can you all hear me okay? Just a little bit. So I woke up this morning with a migraine. My vision has cleared, so that's good, but my head's a little painful, so that's why I'm much louder. You can ask those with me. I got a lot to say. So our theme is flourishing, and the word I want to offer you all today is very simple. Seek flourishing now. Not tomorrow, not next year, not after you do this or after that thing is over. Seek it today. Find it today. Because to flourish is to be who we are, who we truly are. It is our birthright to flourish. And when I say flourishing, I don't mean some kind of free from suffering, everything is perfect, treat yourself kind of way. I'm talking about a flourishing that is holistic, deeply communal, and capable of holding all of life's beauties as well as hardships. Now, I know that in these times of uncertainty and frustration and fear, you might hear this and think, this lady is out of touch. Why are we talking about flourishing when we are barely getting by? Survival is our goal. Flourishing, that's reserved for fantasy and make-believe. Or maybe you're thinking, well, I just have to get through this one thing, and then I can think about flourishing. Or maybe when that one guy leaves town, then we'll flourish. And all I gotta say to that is no. We can flourish now. And do not think that I have my head buried in the sand, because I get it, the world is on fire. But I believe very deeply that to seek flourishing now, right now, even if for a few moments, is an act of rebellion. It is an act of disobedience to the empire who wants us to be exhausted, to be so exasperated and disgusted that we lose our ability to even imagine something different. We are so focused on surviving that we don't even know what it would look like on the other side of this suffering. So my friends, the word I offer to us today is flourish now, every single day. Because as a people of faith, one of our many callings is to cast a vision of what the world could look like. And not only that, to practice that world right here and right now. The world can and will be a place of flourishing for all of creation. And so the question that I'm often asking is, how can we live into that world right now? Because I want to flourish. I want y'all to flourish. I want us as a people, a country, a planet to flourish. There's just simply too much beauty in this world for us to be trapped in these cycles of suffering and violence and greed and horror. Anybody else want to flourish? Well, let's talk about how we do it. And maybe also what it means to flourish as a people of faith in this time. You're going to get a bunch of garden metaphors, so thanks for setting the tone. Flourishing is often associated with abundance. This overflowing, always having more than you need, never lacking, never hurting. But I don't think that abundance is always a good thing. You talked about those squash plants. When I think of abundance, I often think of an overproducing cucumber plant. Y'all have seen them. You've had them. And we love having abundantly producing plants, right? It's better than the alternative. But what good is it if we can't keep up with the harvest? We have all this beautiful produce that at first we're just delighting in and we're sharing and pushing off on our cousins. But there is a point when it becomes too much. And then you got a bunch of slimy cucumbers at the bottom of a drawer in the fridge. Or that big weird fruit with the seeds, so you really can't do much with it anyway. And then of course that stinky rotten fruit that's hiding under all the beautiful foliage. Flourishing does not always mean abundance. Much of the time, it actually means having just enough, which for many of us is actually true most of the time. Second garden metaphor. So this season, I planted lettuce. Fancy, tender leaf lettuce. I did it, there was one frost that I covered it with a sheet, but it's just flourishing, right? This lettuce is flourishing. It is beautiful. We have just enough. And when the plants first started to get big enough that I could start clipping some of them, right? I got my first harvest, I took it inside, I got it in the salad spinner, and I'm rinsing it. And then I noticed there's like all these like little weeds in there. I'm just like, oh, this is annoying, so I'm kind of plucking the weeds out. And like, you know what, when I go back out, I'm gonna pull those weeds. So I go back out and I'm harvesting more, and then I start pulling some of the weeds, and then I notice that those weeds are full of holes, just full of holes. And then I look at the lettuce. There's not a single hole in any of the lettuce, not one, and there still isn't. So it turns out that those pesky, inconvenient weeds were actually a pretty significant catalyst for the flourishing I'm seeing in the lettuce. So flourishing does not mean that everything will be easy or perfect all the time. There may be things that we have to do. There may be things that happen that are inconvenient or annoying, but it doesn't have to stop us from flourishing, and in fact, it might sometimes be that catalyst that we need. For our final garden metaphor, we'll turn to the trees. I have a tattoo of a tree on my stomach, and I wanted this tattoo for about a decade. I didn't get it until my mid-30s. But I chose trees because I love them. Any other lovers of trees? I've always loved them, but especially in my early 20s, I was really trying to figure out who I am, right? And I felt drawn to the trees, and I decided that I wanted to be a tree when I grow up. Trees are rooted. They are strong. They are deeply interconnected to all of the wildlife and the fungi and all the creatures that surround them above and below. Trees are so sure of who they are that they can flourish almost anywhere with only that which is provided. The sun, the air, the water, whatever nutrients the soil has to offer. So to flourish is to be deeply rooted in who we are, who we truly are. Strong, deeply interconnected with all who surround us, and with some exceptions, capable of flourishing wherever we have been planted. I've got one last metaphor. It's kind of a garden metaphor, but it's more a math metaphor. So it's a bonus. A fractal is a never-ending pattern that looks the same at different scales. So for instance, broccoli. A big head of broccoli is made up of tiny heads of broccoli, right? Fractals are a mathematical phenomenon that we can see throughout the galaxy and beyond. The other one I love is that our fingerprints look like the way galaxies in the universe are ordered. So fractals help us understand, in mathematical terms as well, how complex systems are created. In her book, Practicing New Worlds by Andrea Ritchie, she explains that in mathematical terms, complex systems are created by replicating a simple pattern over and over and over again. In human terms, that means that the patterns we use to relate to ourselves is the pattern we use to relate to those around us, is the pattern we use to relate to the world. And when this pattern is used, replicated over and over and over again among many different people, it becomes the pattern which dictates that complex system that we find ourselves in. Are you following? The patterns that we practice within ourselves and among those closest to us has the potential to change all of the complex systems in which we find ourselves. It is mathematically proven, my friends. The way we practice living together today has the potential to change the world. And so when we practice flourishing over and over and over again, even in small ways, our little swirls of flourishing have the potential to span out and create mega blooms of flourishing all around us. To help us practice this today, I'm going to lead us in a time of guided reflection using the spiritual practice of the examen. So I am going to invite you in a moment to close your eyes and get comfortable, but I want to pull up my timer so that I actually hold the space. You know, sometimes you think of 10 seconds as a minute. Okay, so let us, if you feel comfortable, close your eyes and find whatever posture feels most comfortable to you. Take a few really deep breaths. Cultivate in yourself a little bit of calm and quiet. I want you to begin thinking back over the last week. Remember what you did, who you saw, how you felt. And I want you to think about a really life-giving part of your week. A moment when you felt really loved or connected. A time you felt fully yourself. A moment where you really felt like you were flourishing. And sit in the feeling for a moment. Notice what you were doing, who you were with, and what made it feel so beautiful. Now I want you to think about the most life-thwarting moment this past week. A time you felt really disconnected or isolated. Maybe a time you felt afraid. Or when you felt like flourishing was just too far out of reach. And again, just allow yourself to sit in this moment, noticing again what you were doing, who you were with, and what made it feel so hard. And now I want to invite you back to this space, this moment, this place. Notice who you're with, what you're doing, what's resonating, what's challenging. And as you go forth from this place, I invite you to continue taking stock of where you feel a sense of flourishing. Pay attention to it, name it. Even if it's something simple, in this moment, I am flourishing. Where you feel alive, connected, fully yourself. And as you begin to notice who you're with, what you're doing, how you're feeling in each of these places, try to put more time, it seems like a no-brainer, but try to put more time and energy and money into those places that actually feel like flourishing. But pay attention to the hard stuff too. Be discerning about whether it's truly life-thwarting or if it's just a little annoying or inconvenient, but ultimately may lead to help you flourish. We are called to be a people who flourish, my friends. Let it be so for us today and every day. Even when it's hard, let us practice flourishing wherever and wherever we go and whenever it is, so that like a fractal, our small swirls of beauty and connection and strength may remake all of our complex systems, so that all people, all creatures, and all of the planet may flourish. Let it be so. Amen. And now we're going to sing our final hymn together. It's 1018 in the teal hymnal. Come and go with me. That is 1018 in the teal hymnal. Come and go with me.